Hello and welcome to DIY in the Dungeon, a place where I come to hoard my crafting materials and work on various projects. Today I'm going to be working on 2 sets of horns for a Valentine's Day shoot I have coming up later on this weekend. I'm going to be making a little short set and a bigger little heart-shaped set here, if you can see from my crabby little drawing there. I'm going to be setting up a whole scene, painting myself pink for this one. It's a whole thing. There's this magazine that I like to submit to, Retro Lovely. Every year they do a Valentine's Day and an anti-Valentine's Day issue, and I try to get into both just because I think it's fun. Like, ooh, here's my Valentine's Day look, but it's me again. Here's my anti-Valentine's Day look, and then just do something completely opposite of it. It's just really fun for me, and like little goals I like to set for myself, so at least I get into minimum 2 magazines a year, and they have pretty high standards, and I like the other photographers and stuff that get into the magazine. It's great to see the other art. Anyway, I've got this air dry clay here, and we're gonna start just plotting and planning out where I'm gonna put these horns on my head and how tall I'm gonna make them and all sorts of stuff like that. So let's get in. All right, so I've got my little pail here with some water in it. I've got a tray set up with some tin foil for them to dry on once I get them all done here, and I've got my clay open. It's the air dry clay, but I try to just, well, not but I try to take out just a little bit at a time because it does have a tendency to dry pretty quickly, especially down here in the dungeon. It's a dry place. So that's what the other little pail of water is for over there. So I'm going to take out maybe what looks like enough for both of the little horns. And then we'll go ahead and close it back up here. I have so much like crafting materials and stuff for shoots that it was just better to split it between 2 rooms instead of just trying to cram it all into one area and then have to move it all to shoot in and then move it all back to create in. So I just huddle down here in me little dungeon. Dip my hand in some of that water there. Squish, squish, squish. And I'm thinking that I want the bigger ones to sit more here because they're gonna go up and then in the little heart. So these ones I just want to be little guys like right around here. Kind of like how it feels a little bit like styrofoam too. Just try and work it and keep it wet. Remove all of like the lines and stuff. I may have grabbed too much. If I want them to be little short horns, I'm gonna just try to take my fingers, shape the little base of the horn there. I'm just gonna pluck it right up there. It needs to be just a wee bit more. I don't want them to be too big, so I'm gonna just trying to map out, look at my big old 5 head here and figure out where I can put these guys. There we go. They look like little Hershey Kisses. That's a good size for them, I think. And it's easier when it's more wet to get rid of those lines. I thought that I would be able to sand them once my last set dried. Did not work out that well. They were still there. So push it down a little bit. There we go. Yeah, that looks good. Try to give them more of a point though, and maybe a tiny bit of a curve up. It's natural. It's natural. There we go. And I'm going to leave them right there for a little bit so I can grab my clay and make sure that the other one is the same size. I often have that problem where one will be a certain size and it's perfect, and then the other one's a little bit bigger, and I'm like, well, maybe I'll just make that one a little bit bigger, and then they're just massive horns or big wings on the side of my face, whatever it happens to be at that time. So recently I have started rereading the Dris Duerden series, and I had no idea. It was always my brother's favorite growing up, but I had no idea that there was like 30 books in it. So I am doing my best to find them all. I bought the first two a while ago, and it was like the first three in a set for like the 50th anniversary or something like that. Now I can't find the other ones in the set of that kind that aren't like way overpriced because everybody on eBay just wants $1 million for everything apparently. Well, everything I don't have. So but the first book is really good. I remember as a kid I liked reading the War of the Spider Queen series. That one was always my favorite. And it's why I named my D&D character Dana Fey. If you've ever read the series, she is she grew on me through the series. I didn't like her when she showed up. I liked Halistra a little bit better when I was younger, and then as I started to reread the series and check it out again, I was like, oh, I kind of like Dana Fey. She's actually pretty cool. I like her character as opposed to Halistra, who her and Rald's story, it just bugs me so much. I would have to say that Franz, my Theron, I'm probably saying that wrong, but he was always my favorite male character in there. It's just a little cheeky butthole sometimes, and I liked it. All right. These guys, I don't know if you can see them, but they're just gonna go right there. Yeah. This guy looks a little stockier than the other one. I'll just try and shape him a little bit more. Start mapping out the rest of our horn here. I'm going to push the rest of my hair back here because I'm going to end up putting them here. I might end up having to shave my head again before I do it, but we'll see. Hey, Boogie. Let me move a little bit and see if I can't get my orange man to come up here on my lap. Come on. Well, come here. Come here. There he is. Hey, Boogie. This is my clockwork. I call him Boogie because he often has like nose boogers and leaky eyes. It's a condition he's got, but I still call him Boogie. And he's just the sweetest man. I'm gonna try and keep my hand up here so I don't end up with a pound of cat hair in my horns. Stop showing him your butt. There you go. You're fine. You can sit on my lap. And I think I'm going to end up needing a little bit more because I want him to like come out and then go up to like about here. Like that almost. Grab some more here. I actually have two chairs down here by my desk because if I don't have like a fake out chair, then I never have anywhere to sit. And I feel bad kicking him out of it. Yes, I feel bad kicking you out of the chair. Because he's such a sweet man. It's just like, I like it here because it's comfy, but you also want to be here, so that's probably why I also want to sit here. And I don't want them to be too big because I just don't want them to be too heavy on my head. I'm trying to avoid all of the crustier stuff that might be at the top there. It is a little old. I've had it for like maybe a year or so. I used a little bit of it, but it came with white and black clay. It's just clay. It's just clay. It's clay. It's nothing you want, I promise. But I got it to make a Tanquin headpiece. I bought a helmet and put little jester head things on them with clay and then painted them and everything, and haven't used it since. So I'm glad it still works. This looks probably very questionable, but I swear we're making horns. I'm trying to keep the seam down on the inside, so even if I can't get rid of it all, at least it's not visible. They're horns, I swear. And I might end up having to put a little bit of wire in them just to support them. And I might need a little bit less, because the heart piece is gonna like be a sharp edging around. There were some more structural issues and I was getting a little frustrated, so I just decided to turn it off real quick and get another head down here to plop them on so I could shape them around and everything. But it's still a little soft, but I think if I can get them to stay that way, that you should be able to at least see the heart once they dry and everything without them actually touching. So I'm going to give them one last little like tweakage here. We'll go ahead and set them on our little drying rack over there, and then once they're all dry, we'll come right back here and I'll show you how I would paint them up. So thanks. All right, we are back. Our pieces, both sets, are nice and dry, and bam, looking perfect the way that I want them to. I know exactly where I want them to go. Ooh, yeah, there we go, all cross-horned or whatever. Good, at least in my opinion. Oh, there we go. Yeah. And we're about ready to start painting them here. So I've gotten everything all squashed together here. I've just got some cheap paints from the thrift store and this golden light molding paste. My sister got me a little like kit of theirs in the mail, and I really like their stuff, but I use this in the base paints here, so that way it kind of seals in all those little cracks and stuff and removes any of the ones that I don't really want. And I've got, what is this? The magenta. I think it's just like liquid kind of pigment or whatever. It's very liquidy. I just use like boop, 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 a couple little drops for it or what have you. Got my brushes all here, just some cheapies that have been through thick and thin with me forever here. What else? I've just got a few colors here. In all honesty, I'm just gonna go in. I want them to be black with like the semblance of little pinks, and I've got this rose gold paint marker here. I'm gonna go in and accent them once they're all dry and everything like that. So we're gonna start with the little ones because they're obviously not gonna take as long as the others. I'm gonna use probably just this little guy, just smaller brushes that I have. And I've got my little water and my paper towel here. I've got a white, a gray and kind of the magenta mixed together. And then I've got a black and magenta here. And I know it doesn't look like it in the camera, but it definitely does have this nice hue to it. And I'm thinking that I'm going to put a couple of drops of this down and just kind of pat it in around so it kind of bursts through. I like to do it on the foil because I was already using it anyway, but it's just an easy cleanup. I'm gonna just set it out of the way over here. Wet my brush. I don't know if you can see that all that well or not. I did turn up the brightness in the camera and it is drying my eyes out. And I'm just gonna go in and around. I don't really need to do this bottom part here. I can if I like get it on there. It doesn't really matter. But I'm gonna use little bits of both the red and the black here. A little bit more water in that. I'm gonna grab a little bit of that. I don't know if you can see it. It's a work in progress. We'll figure out a way for you to see it. It's all that matters. I might add a little bit of white in there. There you go. We'll take a little bit more of this. And I always end up using my fingers. I know a lot of people don't, or they don't like to, but I'm making my own props, and I don't mind if it has little finger marks or anything like that on it. This is just my base layer for it anyway, so I'm just kind of going in and around and making sure I get the right hues where I want them and remember how I want it shaded. Kind of do the little tops here a little bit more pinky than the rest. I think that'll be kind of cute. I like that white addition in there too. I didn't think about that before, but you know, it's a process as you go along. I kind of like that. Growing up, I never really liked painting all that much. I was much more into like markers and colored pencils. And as I've gotten older, I'm just like, man, I love to paint. Doesn't matter whether it's gouache paints, acrylics, watercolors. The only thing I haven't dabbled in yet is oil paints. I feel like those are big girl paints, and I'm not really there yet. But maybe someday. So as you can see, it's kind of gotten. What are you looking for, Boogie? So I have two chairs down here. I have one that I'm sitting in and one over there. And my orange cat usually lays in the one that I'm in. And since I'm here, I'm going to have to suffer with him in my lap while I work. So enjoy my orange cat content. My cat, sweet man. He is the sweetest boy. He really is. What are you doing? You don't want nothing I have up here, I promise you. I promise you. It's just paints. It's wintertime, so they don't get to go outside as much as they used to. I just let them into the backyard and eat grass. I call them my little cat cows. Oh. Well, you either sit down or go somewhere else. There we go. So I'm going to let this little one dry here, and we'll go back in and detail it here. I'm going to just plop it right up against there like that. We're going to do the other one kind of the same way here. These don't have as many cracks in them. I feel like I had a better time with the smaller ones than I did the bigger horns, but that's all right. It's my first time doing ones with little attachment pieces like that, kind of like deer horns instead of ram horns. But I liked it. I enjoy trying new things and making new stuff. I know you can't really see it behind me, but I've got a whole rack of fabric and stuff back there, and In front of me over here is just jewelry stuff. It's all beads and different connection pieces and gemstones and stuff like that. I'm in school for gemology right now, and I thoroughly love my shinies. I love learning about rocks. It started out as like, ooh, I like the metaphysical, and now it's just like, you're telling me that quartz, citrine, and amethyst are all the same stone, but different colors because of different temperatures? That's so cool. So I just had to start learning about the actual, like, I guess, science of gemstones or, what have you. But yeah, so that's where I'm at, and it's really fun. The heater is on right now, and it is blasting my eyeballs. I am dying right now. And I will not be able to get up and do anything about it because, well, I have a cat now. So we're stuck here for however long he decides to be. This one isn't as pinky as the other one, but I kind of like. I don't know if it's focusing or not there. Oh, I'm going to allow those to dry a little bit. I'm going to clean my brush really fast. And then I'm going to go in and at least start getting a base coat on these guys. I didn't start trying to make my own horns and stuff like that until very recently, but I started seeing that a lot of them were just made out of like 3D printed stuff. And I was like, well, if it's that easy, why don't I just try and make my own? And I like doing clay and stuff like that much more because I know that it's like a familiar medium to me. So I just started dabbling in it, and then it led me to get like special effects makeup kits and all kinds of stuff like that. It sparked a whole passion I didn't even know I had. Trying to get just enough like pinky colors around where these creases and the lines are going to be for the actual horns once I get them painted to look like horns. Alright, as you can see, this grubby little guy looks like he's just kind of been like splotched with. I kind of just went in with the red and the white and laid down little bits of color everywhere, and then I followed in with the black and just kind of around it. Went in with my trusty fingers and kind of just dabbled it around because I wanted to have the light spots and everything because I'm going to go back in with these blacks and kind of add all these little lines and like the details and everything so it'll be darker over top. And I'm trying to make sure that that comes through. I might go back in and make just a few spots a little bit brighter though. And I've got to fix it. I accidentally like crushed my horn while I was holding it. It's dry, but it's not completely dry. So oopsies. Be careful with your prosthetics. Which way is it? Oopsie. It's okay. We'll be more careful. I got a little too into it while I was painting. Oopsies. And it's just got that same base coat, but I'm going to come in with this super dark black. My smallest cat, Foxy, is currently trying to bury herself under my empty bag of grapes down there. I don't know why. I almost wish I could take the phone off of the thing and show you that she's trying to fit under there. She used to like to go underneath like the sofa and stuff like that, but now that she's bigger, she won't fit, and I think she's like reminiscing about her days being able to fit under things. We're gonna draw almost like a line right up this back here. And then we're just gonna start doing little tick marks away from it. All right. I don't know if you can see that little guy or not, if it's gonna focus. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. I'll do little pictures or something like that at the end just so you guys can see it. But it's got little lines and stripes. It kind of reminds me of that one kind of toothpaste. And I'm going to let them dry here before I try to go in with the paint marker, or I'm just going to mush everything around and it's not going to bode well for me. I'll just have to go back in and redo all that work I did. So we're going to prop this little guy up here, and we're going to do the same thing to the other little horn guy. Plans change sometimes when you're doing like artsy projects or photo shoots, photography, whatever have you. The best laid plans, as they say. Although knowing that doesn't irritate me any less sometimes when things that I want to happen the way that I want them to happen don't with certain projects, but that's okay. I think I'm going to let this dry like this. I'm going to hold it for a little bit here and kind of dry it out. And then if I want to, I'll go back in and add any more or add some black spots over top, but I don't want to mess with it now and chance messing up what I've already got going on that I like. So we'll be right back. Alright, everything is dry here this morning, and I went back in with my little rose gold pen to just make little accent marks on these. And they're not my greatest horns that I've ever made, but with the time constraints put on me by the photographer and everything like that, pushed to last minute, they're not they're horns. They're not bad looking. I wish I could have taken some more time to draw more lines and accentuate these little folds in the horns, but I think everything looks good. I'm going to go in here and give them a good spray coating of everything, so when I'm wearing them on my head and stuff, if I touch them, the paint doesn't start to move around. But I hope you've enjoyed this little DIY in the dungeon here, and I look forward to doing many more. So subscribe if you'd like to see more little dungeon works. Like, comment, do all the things. The most important things. Stay well. Stay hydrated. Bye.